Did Drew honestly think he could look Nina in the eye, sitting inches away from a deep pool of water, and drop a bombshell like that without signing his own death warrant? Are we seriously supposed to believe that a man who has survived mind control, kidnapping, and months of being chemically paralyzed by Willow would make such a reckless amateur mistake? If you ask me, the sheer audacity of Drew opening his mouth to taunt Nina with, "What is going on, Nina?" Bad news here is either the bravest thing he has ever done or the absolute dumbest. We are looking at a psychological powder keg right now, and the match has just been struck. You guys, we have to look at this situation as a highly dangerous psychological deadlock that has been brewing behind closed doors for months. On one side, we have Drew, a man whose entire life, agency, and physical freedom have been stolen from him piece by piece in the most agonizing way imaginable. He has been trapped in a wheelchair, a prisoner in his own mind, forced to silently endure Willow and her sinister machinations for what feels like an absolute eternity. He has had to listen to her lies, watch her play the saintly congresswoman, all while she secretly poisons him. On the other side, we have Nina, a mother figure who operates on pure, unadulterated desperation when her loved ones are threatened. Nina does not think logically when Willow is in danger. She thinks in terms of survival and elimination. When Drew finally broke his silence, uttering those chilling words about bad news, he essentially drew a permanent line in the sand. He declared an all-out war, but he did so from a physical position that appears incredibly fragile and deeply concerning. But look closely at the setting of this intense confrontation. They are right next to a deep swimming pool. If you ask me, this is the most perilous, high-risk environment imaginable for someone who is supposedly only half recovered from severe chemical paralysis. Water is unforgiving. If Drew is genuinely still struggling with his basic motor functions, if his legs cannot support his own body weight and his arms lack the necessary strength to tread water, then he is practically serving himself up on a silver platter to his enemies. The shimmering water behind him isn't just a picturesque backdrop. It is a deadly weapon waiting to be utilized by a desperate, cornered woman. The sheer proximity to the edge of the pool adds a layer of suffocating suspense to the scene. One wrong move, one sudden burst of anger from Nina, and gravity will do the rest of the horrific work. Nina could easily tip that wheelchair forward with a single, forceful shove. A tragic drowning accident. A slip and fall. The perfect cover-up to ensure Willow never faces justice for her horrific crimes. This implies that Drew might be digging his own grave by speaking out too soon. Why not wait? Why not remain absolutely silent until he can walk, run, and fight back with full, undeniable strength? The psychological motive here is deeply fascinating. Could it be that his anger simply boiled over, overriding his tactical common sense? Or is there a deeper, much more sinister ulterior motive at play in his mind? Let us really break down the shattered trusts and the twisted dynamics at play here. Nina has always been a wild card in this town. We know her history intimately. We know exactly what happens when she feels cornered, threatened, or when she believes her family is in imminent danger. When Drew looks up at her from that wheelchair, he isn't just looking at a concerned bystander, he is looking at a woman who knows exactly what Willow has done and is actively complicit in covering it up. He is staring into the eyes of an accomplice who has everything to lose. If you ask me, Nina's mind must have been racing a mile a minute the exact second Drew spoke those terrifying words. She realizes, in that heart-stopping, terrifying split second, that the paralytic drugs are actively failing. The grand secret is officially out. The clock is ticking down to zero, and the walls are rapidly closing in on her and her daughter. This is a horrifying realization for Nina because it means Willow is inevitably going to a maximum security prison for a very long time unless this massive problem is permanently and quietly silenced today. And there Drew sits, inches from the water's edge, entirely vulnerable to gravity, a sudden push, and the dark depths of the pool. The sheer panic in Nina's eyes must be blinding as she weighs her options. Let Drew live and destroy her family, or push him in and save Willow's future. The temptation to just end it, to give him a slight push and watch the bubbles rise to the surface, must be overwhelmingly intoxicating for someone operating out of sheer, blinding panic. It looks like a classic setup for a tragic demise, but we also have to deeply consider Drew's background. He is a highly trained operative. He understands tactical advantages, environmental awareness, and the psychology of his enemies better than anyone. Would a man with his extensive training willingly position himself near a deep body of water while physically compromised, knowing a desperate enemy is standing right over him? This brings us to a massive crossroads in our theory today. We have to divide this tense situation into two very distinct possibilities. Let us explore scenario A first. In this version of events, it looks like Drew has made a fatal, arrogant miscalculation. Could it be that he is genuinely only half recovered? Perhaps the paralytic drugs are wearing off just enough to allow him to speak and slightly move his extremities, but his core strength and ability to swim or defend himself are completely compromised. If this is the truth, then his decision to taunt Nina is an emotional outburst born of pure frustration, trauma, and rage. He desperately wants her to know that her time is up, that he is aware of everything they have done to him, but in doing so, he severely underestimates Nina's capacity for violence when it comes to protecting Willow. In scenario A, Nina recognizes his vulnerability immediately. She sees the pool. She understands the dark assignment. A quick push, a stage struggle, and Drew is sinking to the bottom of the pool. The authorities would undoubtedly rule it an accidental drowning of a severely disabled man. The psychological motive for Nina in scenario A is crystal clear: maternal protection at all absolute costs. She eliminates the immediate threat, secures Willow's freedom, and buries the damning evidence forever. If you ask me, this scenario is entirely plausible because we have seen characters let their pride get the better of them before. Drew might have foolishly thought his words would paralyze Nina with fear, but instead, they might just be the violent catalyst for his own murder. The unforeseen fallout of this would be a town mourning a tragic, senseless accident, while Nina and Willow secretly toast to their dark, blood-soaked victory. However, I strongly suspect there is another, much more brilliant layer to this confrontation. Let us transition to scenario B. What if this entire poolside encounter is a meticulously crafted, highly calculated move by Drew? Could it be that he is not half recovered at all, but fully restored to his peak physical condition? Think about it, guys. If Drew has been secretly regaining his strength, faking his paralysis for weeks while Willow confidently injected him, then sitting in that wheelchair by the pool is not a sign of weakness. It is a deadly bait. He is actively hunting his abusers. In scenario B, Drew knows exactly how dangerous and unpredictable Nina is. He knows she will do absolutely anything to protect Willow from going to a federal penitentiary. By dropping that bad news bombshell, he is intentionally triggering her primal fight or flight response. He wants her to panic. He wants her to look at the pool and see a golden opportunity for murder. Why? Because he needs irrefutable, undeniable proof of their murderous intent. If you ask me, Drew has already scouted the entire pool area. He knows exactly where the security cameras are positioned. He is sitting precisely in the center of the frame. He is hoping, praying even, that Nina takes the bait, gives in to her darkest impulses, and violently pushes him into the deep water. Because the very moment he hits that water, the elaborate, months-long ruse is finally over. He will swim to the surface, fully capable, strong, and completely recovered, and the security cameras will have captured Nina committing premeditated attempted murder in glorious high definition. This implies that Drew is willing to risk the terrifying sensation of drowning just to ensure he has the ultimate, unbreakable leverage to absolutely destroy both Nina and Willow in a court of law. It is a terrifying, brilliant game of psychological warfare that proves he is not a victim anymore. He isn't digging his own grave by the side of that pool. He is meticulously digging theirs, handing them the shovels and waiting for them to finish the job themselves. So, where does this leave us, guys? Are we witnessing the tragic end of a man who spoke out of turn, or the brilliant execution of a revenge plot months in the making? I refuse to state anything as an absolute certainty, because in this unpredictable town, the narrative can flip in the blink of an eye. But if you ask me, the tension by that pool is thick enough to cut with a knife. Whether Drew is genuinely vulnerable and about to take a fatal plunge thanks to Nina's desperate psychological motive, or whether he is a fully recovered shark waiting for Nina to step into his waters, the unforeseen fallout will be catastrophic. The dynamic between Drew, Nina, and Willow has reached a boiling point of no return. Keep your eyes peeled, because the next time someone falls into that pool, they might not be the one who ends up drowning in the consequences.